Before the first snap against Texas, the chess match begins, and Matt Patricia's unpredictability could be Ohio State's X factor.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to your Tuesday edition of Locked On Buckeyes, which is your daily Ohio State podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, veteran sports talk host, delivering passionate coverage about your Buckeyes. And during today's show, we will discuss how Ohio State tears up the trenches against Texas, as well as what you can expect from James Peoples and C.J. Donaldson this weekend. But first, Matt Patricia is getting ready to coach his first game in the Scarlet and Gray, and as there are a lot of nerves surrounding saying being QB1, I guarantee there are some of you that are very nervous and even curious about what to expect from Matt Patricia this weekend. He is a guy that's done a lot of great things in the NFL. He's been very creative, leading defenses in New England. And I think his creativity is going to continue to be a calling card for him as he leads Ohio State's defense this year. And there have been a lot of people out there that have said that they don't know what Ohio State's defense is going to be because they don't know what Matt Patricia is going to do. And I think you got a great glimpse over the past few years about what Ohio State's defense is currently. It's Ohio State's defense. Matt Patricia is not coming into Ohio State to reinvent the wheel or to do something different. He's trying to take Ohio State's defense and add his own flair to it, and that is it, not completely change the system. And I think when it comes to Patricia, you know what the defense looks like. You just don't know how Patricia is going to use it. So I think it's more, you're not sure how creative he's going to be. You know the 4-2-5 base defense. Occasionally it'll be 3 down linemen and a stand-up end on the outside with probably 2 backers behind the 4 guys up front. That's not going to change. The only thing that might change is Patricia's creative mind. How does he utilize Caleb Downs? What does he do with the 2 linebackers? How creative does he get with the front 4? And I think that aspect of Matt Patricia is great. It's 100% great. And it could be the X factor against Texas, as Texas not only has Arch Manning, but Texas has a lot of new faces on offense. Ryan Wingo is there. Trey Wisner is still there. There are a lot of guys at Texas on that team that are electric in the open field. But there's one thing Texas has right now that we're going to talk a little bit more in depth in the very next segment, which is a lot of new faces on the offensive line. And when you have a new quarterback and 4 of your 5 starting offensive linemen are brand new, you can expect that Patricia's creativity and his mind thinking outside of the box is perfect for Ohio State in this matchup. And then you tap into Ryan Day, who has found ways in big-time matchups to show up, especially early in the season. Yeah, sometimes it doesn't happen, but you can think back to the Notre Dame games when McCord and Stroud were the starting quarterbacks. You can look back to some other games in Ryan Day's tenure where he has figured some things out early, especially with some new coordinators that have made the transition easier than expected. Now, you didn't really think last year with Chip Kelly coming into Ohio State that the transition from Kelly being at UCLA to Ohio State was going to be very, very difficult because of his connection that he already had to Ryan Day that was going back for over 20 years. You had a good feeling that Chip Kelly's expertise, you gave him the benefit of the doubt, not just because him and Day had a relationship and that they're friends, but because Chip Kelly's track record, he's great. He knows how to be creative on offense, especially in the run game, to make things happen. Why doesn't Matt Patricia get the same benefit of the doubt? I'm being honest. That's a question I've been asking myself because I think Matt Patricia, while he hasn't been doing it as long as Chip Kelly, should get a large amount of people should give him the benefit of the doubt because he has been there. He has done that. Now, the one reason I think people might say, well, Jay, in New England, they primarily ran a 3-4 defense. Shouldn't that be a reason for you, the fan, or as you're asking me to be a little cautious about Patricia being at Ohio State? Maybe. But what's a 3-4 defense? Heavier up front, 3 linebackers, and you might walk one up to the line of scrimmage. So what does that turn into? It could literally be a 4-3 or 5-2. Literally, in that lineup, in a 3-4 defense, depending on what the offense is throwing at you, You have so many variations, and you can be so creative with the guys in the front seven. Now, with Ohio State's 4-2-5, what do you have? You have 4 guys up front, 2 at backer. Nobody knows the combination that Patricia's going to utilize. He could go smaller and go Edgercuson and Bo Atkinson at the D tackles occasionally to give Cade McDonald a rest. And then on the outside, it could be Hicks and King Otter Jackson Jr. What would that do? A little bit more speed out there, a little bit more creativity, could be some twists and stunts up front. What does that utilize? It allows Patricia to utilize the same defense but put his own twist on it. Be a little bit more creative. And a twist and a stunt up front, that should be in everybody's defense. I don't care if you're in a 4-2-5 or my new favorite on College Football 26 is a 3-3-5 tight. I have never used that ever in any era of football. All of a sudden on the video game, I've been using a 3-3-5 tight with Ohio State's defense. You can't do nothing. You can't do anything at all because it just creates so many mismatches and so many headaches for the opposition. And it's going to be, it does the same thing Patricia's going to do on Saturday. I firmly believe that Steve Sarkisian, as great an offensive mind as he is, there are going to be times that he is going to struggle against Patricia. And it's not all because of Matt Patricia. He can only do so much. He is the coach. He is the leader of that side of the ball. But Patricia has figured out, I got Downs, one of the best players in the country. I got IGB, who's a really good corner. I got Jermaine Matthews Jr., who is chirpy and doesn't back down from anybody. I got Lorenzo Styles Jr., who is the older statesman, who is the vet. Hasn't started or really played that much, transitioning to a different position, but you still got an older guy, more mature player. You also got his brother in Sonny Styles, who's a blocko. You got Arval Reese, who's an athletic freak who can play linebacker and will play on the edge as well. Going to talk more about that later on in the show. I do think Patricia, when looking at the Buckeyes lineup, maybe there will be a lot of rotating in the secondary or at linebacker or on the D line. That is to be determined. But Patricia's unpredictability, because you're not sure how creative he's going to be or if he'll be creative at all early in the game to kind of get a feel or a handle on what Texas is going to do, that is a massive, massive benefit for Ohio State. And Ryan Day did something that is pulling a trick or a card out of Nick Saban's bag, which is going out there and getting coordinators that are previous head coaches because they can just run that side of the ball. Day can run the offense to be a head coach, but he is a better coach when he is not dealing with the offense and the quarterbacks and the running backs and tight ends and everything that goes with running an offense. When he is just the overseer and the CEO of the program, the team is going to be a whole lot better. And there's going to be more synergy and uniformity with everything going on. I'm glad that Matt Patricia is Ohio State's D coordinator. Is it going to be perfect the entire year? No. There are going to be hiccups, and we'll document them right here on this show every Monday through Friday and after games as well, because that's what we do. You deserve the best. And I believe Matt Patricia is going to put out his best ever this weekend and be ready for whatever Sark throws his way. But him being unpredictable is a massive, massive benefit for Ohio State. Some are saying the Buckeyes running game might be a tad unpredictable this weekend, but I got a good feeling Peoples and Donaldson will get the job done. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions, so whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before Week 1 even kicks off, this is your moment. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets now. Once again, make sure you visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets now, because Futures Day is one day and one day only. FanDuel, play your game. We have an important request. Locked On wants to hear from you. We've put together a survey to learn more about our listeners and make your favorite podcasts even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't, and answer questions about our advertising. Go to lockedonpodcasts.com/survey to get started. Everyone who completes a survey will be entered for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that's lockedonpodcasts.com/survey. You can also find the link in the show notes. Thanks for helping us out. Speaking of helping us out, it will definitely help you and me and your blood pressure and my mentals if Ohio State's running game is successful this year. And I believe Ohio State has a couple guys in the backfield that are going to be phenomenal throughout the season in James Peoples and C.J. Donaldson. One is a transfer in Donaldson from West Virginia, a 2,000-yard rusher in his career over there in Morgantown. I think he's going to be a perfect complementary piece to James Peoples this year. But throughout the year, you're going to get a better handle in games 3, 4, 5, and 6 about what this duo is going to be. Heading into the game on Saturday, I don't know if a lot of people have a great feel about what this duo will do on the field. But I do think Donaldson's experience at West Virginia, playing some really good, solid teams when he was at West Virginia, that's going to help him help Peoples in this game. So all they do is just follow the leader and follow their job while they're on the field. And it wouldn't shock me as they're following the leader and as they are just trying to follow the game plan to do everything they can to win, not go outside themselves, not go outside the playbook, but simply do everything they can to win. It wouldn't shock me if one guy gets loose and gets going if that particular player stays on the field a little bit longer. Let's say Donaldson starts. I don't know who's going to start, but for argument's sake, let's say Donaldson starts and he gets to a roll pretty quickly. First drive, it's all him. Second drive, it's all Peoples. Third drive, Donaldson goes back out there and he's still on a roll. It wouldn't shock me if Lachlan kept him out there a little bit longer because of his experience playing college football. But let's remember, this is James Peoples' first time starting in college. This is also his first time getting extended playing time. So not only just starting, he hasn't got extended playing time in his career. He just got to Ohio State a year ago. And so when you think about starting and then adding, you're probably going to get 15 to 20 touches, that's a wear and tear in your body you haven't really dealt with since high school. So that's a mental thing where you say, man, I'm physically ready. I'm yoked up. And if you have seen pictures or videos of James Peoples, trust me, homie has been doing his push-ups for breakfast every single day of the week and twice on Sunday. He has been pumping the iron like you need to get physically ready for battle because this is a top 3 matchup. This is going to be a physical game. If you think Ohio State, Penn State in the middle of the year is a physical battle, think about what this is going to be. I mean, think about it. My wife earlier today was talking about the college football slate for this weekend. She is excited for ball, and she normally doesn't look at the entire weekend or entire day of football to see what's coming up. But she was like, man, Saturday's got a lot of good games in it. I was like, what are you talking about? She said, well, you got Ohio State and Texas at 12. Then you got Florida State and Alabama. And then you got LSU and Clemson. She's like, oh, that's a lot of good games. Those are big name programs. Going to be a lot of physical battles. Some of y'all might want to skip over Florida State and Alabama. I would understand why. Tap into LSU and Clemson. Both of them play in stadiums that are nicknamed Death Valley. I believe Clemson is home. I don't believe this is a neutral site game. Forgive me because I didn't really look this up. I hope it said Death Valley there in Clemson, South Carolina, because that home environment is insane. Plus, the Clemson entrance is different. I mean, I am a guy when it comes to the interests in college football. I am here for all of them because, well, they make the game special. Remember when I was a youngster watching a lot of the entrances from Ohio State entering in a night game to Texas and then Clemson and LSU and Enter Sandman, and it just made for a very, very, very enjoyable day of football, especially in the evening time. I do believe this game is at Clemson to be exact, but my wife is excited for that day of football. And while she's excited for it, she knows Texas is going to try to do everything they can to slow down anything Ohio State tries to do. No matter if it's offense, defense, or in special teams. Going to try to slow everything down. And she knows it's going to be a physical battle. She understands that these hits are going to be very, very hard. She remembers what happened to Nico Imaliava when homie got his helmet cracked twice. She remembers what happened to Arch Manning when he got popped at the goal line. She remembers all of this stuff. And she's saying, oh, man, these big boy programs, And she's a newer college football fan. She really didn't deep dive into college football until her and I got together in 2022. And so she doesn't have 20, 30 years like some of us do of watching this sport. Maybe some of you have been watching for 50 or 60 plus years, which hats off to you. It's a great sport to follow for that long. But she's excited for it. And she's trying to follow and figure out what player she's going to love. And I think it's easy for James Peoples. He's a youngster. He's going to be around a little bit longer. You can get to know him and follow his journey a little bit longer, a little bit more than some of the others. Donaldson, only 1 year. So it's not like he's going to be around for multiple years. No, it's Donaldson is done after that. But I think Peoples is a guy is going to surprise some people. Some are saying J.K. Dobbins 2.0. I can't go that far because we haven't seen him play, but I know an extended playing time. I do believe his frame, about 5'10", a little over 200 pounds, similar to Dobbins. He might be slightly fat. He might be faster than Dobbins too, which is a huge plus. I think that Peoples is going to be a guy Ohio State can lean on this year. You're not going to have to lean on Donaldson as much because I don't believe Donaldson is going to be Judkins once again, where Judkins goes from Ole Miss to Ohio State, and is a great partner and complementary piece for TreVeyon Henderson. The running styles are different, similar to Peoples and Donaldson. Donaldson is going to be more of your between the tackles back. Peoples is more bouncing outside, doing the outside zone and stretch plays. I do believe you can see Peoples run between the tackles a lot this year, similar to Henderson a year ago, where Henderson is more known for being a one cut and go kind of guy, get him in open space and you can't catch him. I think Peoples, I don't think he has that gear that nobody can touch like Henderson does. I do believe Peoples is a bit more of an all-around back earlier in his career than TreVeyon Henderson was. Think back to Henderson's career at Ohio State. Freshman year, broke a record or records that Maurice Clarett set 20 years prior. And so you're thinking, man, this dude's going to be something special. And then injuries happened. His vision didn't improve like people thought it would. He wasn't the most physical guy between the tackles. He was more of an open space guy. But when he put everything together, we're left to marvel at how much fun it was to watch TreVeyon Henderson play at Ohio State. And I mentioned Henderson because, similar to Julian saying recently when we talked about him, Sayin could look at previous film, especially what Will Howard did a year ago, and say, I can follow in his footsteps. We are not the same types of quarterbacks between Sayin and Howard. And while they're not the same types of quarterbacks, they can have similar traits as far as the intangibles of leadership. They may lead in different ways, but if the leadership is effective, that is what matters. And for Peoples last year, only 1 year at Ohio State, behind Henderson and Judkins, he can look at those two guys. What did they do? What did they do off the field? Were they polar opposites? Were they able to mesh and gel and be great teammates? How did they do it? You could tap into that, and then you can realize this is just football. I mean, we're going to talk all week about this game and try to tear it down and break it down and maybe get a little crossover and maybe my guy Mo Murphy on the show as well. Still trying to make that one work out. But we're going to talk all about this thing. Different angles, different things Ohio State can do or should do or some X factors they have. And it all goes back to a football game. A football game that a lot of these athletes have been playing their entire lives. And while they've been playing this game their entire lives, one thing remains the same. From the beginning of when they started playing football until now, running the ball, making efficient and accurate passes, those are the things that are still needed. Now, the offenses may look different. I mean, I cover a high school football team locally that runs a wing T still. My brother was shocked when I told him that over the weekend. They still run that old wing T. Wing T or a spread offense, a 5-2 or a 3-4, it doesn't matter. It is still football. The name of the game is to stop the guy with the ball. The name of the game is to move the ball to the end zone. That is the name of the game. And I do believe Ohio State's running back, the duo that they are, will be able to complement each other very, very well over the weekend and will be solid on the ground, toting the rock, trying to help Ohio State beat the Longhorns. Speaking of helping Ohio State beat the Longhorns, there are some big boys up front that must tear up the trenches to beat Texas. And I gotta logical, and easy idea for them to accomplish that goal. This episode is brought to you by Rouge Yet Ready. Guys, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time to meet Rouge Yet Ready. Rouge Yet Ready is a next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain and boost blood flow. Unlike the usual pills that can take hours, Rouge Yet's 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue and kicks in fast, on average in 15 minutes. Effects can last up to 36 hours, so you can stay confident and in control when the moment is right. Head to rougeet.com/lockedoncollege and use code lockedoncollege to get 15% off today. That's RUGIET.com/lockedoncollege and use promo code lockedoncollege for 15% off. Individual results may vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing review. Please visit the Rouget website for full safety information. Thank you all for tapping in Locked on Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. We are just a few days away from the kickoff of Ohio State's 2025 season. And then as that was coming out of my mouth, I started to get a little anxious. I don't have chills just yet, but I think tomorrow or maybe even Thursday, chills will be on my arms because this is a big time year. It's been a long time since Ohio State won a natty. It's been 10 years. It's a long time. Not only has it been a long time, Ohio State is doing something very specific this year. They're attacking a national championship. They're not trying to defend it. They're trying to attack it with the same forceness and the same fervor they used a year ago. And while they're trying to attack another natty, they must make sure the big boys up front get the job done. And Ryan Day was very open about how many D-line men and what might happen with the offensive line against Texas. And you probably will like a lot of what he had to say. And some of you might say, Jay, I hope he doesn't do it again. And when I say that, you're thinking, oh, rotate on the offensive line, which is probably the plan against Texas. The last time I heard from Ryan Day, I believe that was something that came out of his mouth. It could have been the time before, but that's probably going to happen. On the D-line, specifically, Ohio State is trying to tighten up the rotation to figure out what guys are ready for this battle and what guys may be in the rotation against Grambling State that shouldn't play in the game. And I don't think there's a problem between having a tight rotation against Texas because Ryan Day did that against Notre Dame. Think back to 2022. How many guys on the D-line played that day? I know JT played. Remember Jack Sawyer played. Do you remember who their backups were in that game? Probably not. They didn't come off the field. You know who was there in the middle, who was tearing things up? Tyler Williams, Ty Hamilton. I believe it was Ty Hamilton that year. And Mike Hall. And Mike Hall was a dog that day. He busted some heads and he gave some fits for Notre Dame's offensive line, which is really, really good. Let's not forget, Notre Dame, even under Brian Kelly, and Marcus Freeman has continued that trend of the Fighting Irish having really good offensive linemen. But for the offensive line for Ohio State, while they will probably rotate primarily on the right side between Tegra Shabola at right guard, Ethan Anawa, and Phillip Daniels. I don't know of that trio if Tegra's going to play the whole game and you rotate at right tackle only, or if you have Anawa and Shabola rotate and Daniels only plays at right tackle, or if they're interchangeable. Maybe Daniels plays tackle and then Anawa plays tackle to spell him, and then Shabola goes out, Anawa bumps down the guard, and Daniels goes to right tackle. I don't believe there's going to be any rotating between Sarahville at left tackle, Montgomery at left guard, and Hinchman at center. But Day is comfortable with rotating. I've never, ever, ever liked offensive linemen rotating. It works. It worked last year for Ohio State, but I have never, ever, 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 ever liked it. Think back to Urban Meyer when he was at Florida, and he won a national championship with a 2-quarterback system. Chris Leak was a starter. Tim Tebow was the backup. Both of them played, and Florida won the national championship. Now, I don't know if Ryan Day is going to utilize that tactic with Sayin and Keenholz. The difference was Tim Tebow almost about 20 years ago, possessed a skill set and a gear that Chris Lee didn't. And that wasn't a knock on Chris Lee as a quarterback. He was really good. But Tim Tebow was just special. I think Lincoln Keenan's had some special things. He's not as special as Tebow was. So I don't think Ohio State will rotate at quarterback, even though both of them have to be ready to play. But I do think with the offensive line, if you're going to rotate, you got to make sure you push the right buttons and don't delay and say, "Oh, well, I think that this is the right thing for here," and or maybe second guess it. No, make sure you have the right guys in there for the right situation in that moment. If you know somebody is a starter but they can't close the game due to wear and tear in their body, then don't put them out there to close. Put the other guy back in. It's very similar to the Oklahoma City Thunder in the 2012 finals, 2012 season specifically, but in the finals, James Harden wasn't a starter. He was a sixth man, but he was in their closing lineup. Why? Because he was better off the bench and he was better in the final lineup in the final 5 minutes of the game because that was their closing lineup. And it may be the same thing for Ohio State. Maybe Shabola or another player is better as a starter, but they can't finish just because of the longevity of a football game and they cannot endure 4 full quarters of a physical battle like what the Buckeyes are going to have this weekend. Now, for the trenches on the defensive side of the ball, I think for Ohio State's defense, I mentioned it earlier, but you got to continue to stick to making the rotation very, very tight. You don't need to play everybody and their mama. No, keep it tight. And earlier in the show, I mentioned Bo Atkinson playing on the inside of three tech. And that's not a joke. I do sincerely believe and seriously believe that you will see Bo Atkinson because of what he's 6'6", 265. He has a long wingspan. Why not put that guy on the inside? Because Ohio State's already had that type of defensive end in Tuimoloau and Sawyer bump down inside and be pretty effective. And so I see a scenario where you put Atkinson there at the three tech. Maybe you put Edric Houston there at the one tech, or maybe you keep Cade McDonald in there. Whatever the case may be, have a tight rotation. Only play 6 guys on the offensive line if you're going to rotate. If you're not going to rotate, only play 5. I don't see a 7-man rotation on the offensive line. That seems a little silly to me. I do see a scenario where on the defensive line, you see Cade McDonald, Edric Houston, Keanu Jackson Jr., Cade McDonald, Edric Houston, Caden Curry, Bo Atkinson, C.J. Hicks. If they play another D tackle, that's where the question mark comes in. Speaking of an X factor or a wild card, and Patricia earlier in the show, it's the same thing goes for the D tackle position because it could be Tyrone Malone Jr. over Will Smith Jr. and Jason Moore because he has the more experience. He played in the Southeastern Conference there at Ole Miss. I think he might be more athletic because he did win a national championship with the Rebels baseball team. So I think for Tyrone Malone Jr., you got to make a name for yourself. Will Smith Jr. was a guy that got all the publicity and the attention at Big Ten Media Days. But let's not forget Tyrone Malone Jr. Let's not forget that at all. One of the rare players in collegiate athletics that has won a national championship in multiple sports. Now, I'm not saying gymnastics or even track and field where you run a triathlon or something like that, or decathlon, and you do another field event, or you do something else where you win an individual and then you win a collection of events in something that's in a track and field meet. I literally mean baseball is a fall sport. Excuse me, baseball is a spring sport. They can play it in the fall. It's a spring sport. Football is a fall sport. And he won both. Now, granted, it's at two different schools, but he's a national championship in 2 sports in college. Good for him, man. Clap it up. I mentioned that once this summer, but man, that is so rare. But I do believe his athleticism and it's just his longevity in college football is going to make him a massive, massive benefit for Ohio State this weekend. This game is coming up. It's getting closer and closer and closer. And trust me, you are going to want to be tapped into what is going on with this show the rest of the week. Going to have some special stuff coming up, breaking down the game, looking into more film, especially last year's game, to discuss what Jeremiah Smith or Caleb Downs can do to impact this game so Ohio State could win. One little thing about Jeremiah Smith before we close up shop. In last year's game, Texas, I believe the entire game, they had at least 2 sets of eyeballs on him at all times. Could have been 3 sets of eyeballs because They knew if in a one-on-one situation they were cooked, that Jeremiah Smith would torch them. Ohio State has to do something this year early in the game to not allow Texas to bracket or keep 3 guys on Jeremiah Smith, because if that is the game plan they're able to utilize again, and if it works, Texas might be able to win the game. But if Ohio State not only has a chess match and a master plan with Patricia, they can also have a chess piece and a master plan with Jeremiah Smith, so that Sand and Smith can get on a path and a level playing field pretty early. Not on the level playing field, but the thing might get a little rocky. You don't want any bumps, any bruises on there. You don't want to have to go over mountains. You want the thing to be smooth so that Sand and Smith can torch the Longhorns all afternoon long. Thank y'all for tapping Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. For your second listen, check out Locked On College Football, because my guy Spencer McLaughlin is the right man for the job to get you ready for a full weekend of college football, from games on Thursday through games on Monday night on Labor Day. Spencer McLaughlin is a man that you need to tap into during a massive college football weekend. You can follow Locked On College Football and Locked On Buckeyes right there on the YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can follow me on any social media platform at jstevens07. Send every email to jstevens317@gmail.com. Let's have some Locked On Buckeyes right here on a Tuesday. We'll see you next time.